And 7 investigates. Alexandra Duggan is alongside now. And, I know you've been digging into the suspect's background. What can you tell us?
Well, Cher, we know that Kohberger was actually a graduate student at Washington State University, which is in Pullman, and that's only 20 minutes away from Moscow, where these students were killed. And, before that, he completed his degrees and grad studies at Northampton College in Pennsylvania, as well as DeSales University in Pennsylvania, where he graduated there in 2022. In June of 2022, and then he came to Washington State University after that. And we also know that police were searching an apartment that was believed to belong to him earlier today, looking for evidence. And we also know that the murder weapon still hasn't been found. So we don't really know exactly what they were looking for, but they were out there searching today. They were searching his office at Washington State as well. And that is interesting because he is a teacher at Washington State, but he doesn't have any court filings in Washington. He has no court filings. He does have an infraction in Idaho for just like a vehicle violation or a traffic violation, but that's about it. And there's no federal records that attach to his name at all. So it's really interesting because, he doesn't have a criminal background much really at all. And we also know his parents live in Effort, Pennsylvania, which is in Monroe County, where he was arrested on Friday.
Yeah, you talked about his criminal background, but it seems like there's not much there.
No, and that's what's interesting is, now he's in another state and they have to extradite Kohberger back to Idaho where these crimes took place. And that can be a lengthy process, as Bill Thompson was saying today. It could take a while because he has to go through these court proceedings. And, he can actually waive his extradition, which means he can come back to Idaho willingly. But if he doesn't do that, it's going to be a long legal process.
Today during today's news conference, the Chief Fry said that they've received 19,000 tips. Was one of those tips involved in this?
That's the thing is we really don't know. They're protecting the investigation so that they can prosecute, right? Everybody wants the same outcome. They want a person to be held accountable, and that requires a court of law to do so. So they're going to have to be patient, and police are still looking for tips, and they ask if you do know Kohberger, please reach out to them to just give them more information to build their case.
All right, Alexandra Duggan, thank you. I know you've been digging into this, and you will continue to do so. All right, thank you. And Ethan Chapin's family released a statement this afternoon thanking the Moscow Police Department for their diligent work. They say in part, "We are relieved this chapter is over because it provides a form of closure. However, it doesn't alter the outcome or alleviate the pain. We miss Ethan, and our family is forever changed." Over the last 7 weeks, we stood by Moscow Police Department, FBI, and Idaho State Police, confident they would solve this crime. So when we received the phone call last night, we congratulated them for their diligent work and service. And despite today's arrest, Moscow police are still asking for information about this case. If you have any information, you're asked to call the Moscow Police Department's tip line, and that number is 208-883-7180. And our Brian Holmes is live in Moscow right now. We'll check in with him for a live report at 4:30.